Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rich Longo, and I'll be your host. And I want to welcome everyone from all across North America today. We have quite the crowd from Canada on already, and as far away from California and Texas and New York City. Definitely hope that everyone's staying warm. I know if it's this cold down here in Florida today, that it definitely must be cold up there. So stay warm where you're at. We welcome you. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, How to Address Case Management for Human Resources, presented by Flycast Partners' own Greg Gilda. Now, Greg has been with Flycast Partners for over 3 years now, and Greg has been responsible for hundreds of new tool implementations. He's been in the IT industry for over 17 years, almost 20 years, almost 2 decades, and has provided ITIL consultative skills to numerous clients regarding ITIL best practices and critical success factors regarding ITIL best practice, for smooth implementation operation. Let me tell you more about Flycast Partners. We provide IT software and consulting services across organizations throughout North America. Our clients remain ahead of the curve on technology adoption while maintaining the rock-solid principles of ITIL and practical-focused projects. Our website is always monitored by our team of well-trained ITSM specialists. Please feel free to visit us at www.flycastpartners.com or reach out to us over the phone at 844-FLYCAST. Also, take advantage of our YouTube channel at Flycast Partners YouTube channel and view different presentations for different tools and different topics of discussion that can be of use to you. We encourage you to utilize our website for researching industry white papers, training that is available, assistance with your professional services, and even a new ITSM solution finder. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn this presentation over to Greg Gilda. And Greg, I'm passing the screen rights over to you.
Why, thank you, sir. Hopefully you can hear me all right. Everybody hear me okay?
I hear you fine.
Brilliant. I think I have set to share my desktop and hopefully play my presentation. We don't normally have one of those, but you can see it okay?
It looks great.
Awesome. Hey, everybody, and Rich, thanks very much. Usually when Rich announces how many years I've been in the industry, he sort of stops at the 17-year thing. This time he decided that, 2 decades is what he had to say, 2 decades.
If anybody's going to know, it's going to be you, Greg. There you go.
I'll pay attention to that stuff. So, yes, I've been at this for a couple decades, which probably makes me old, but it also makes me and Flycast pretty experienced about what it is we're about to discuss with you today. And that is HR case management, right? It is a big deal, and as we, as an organization, started doing investigations around this, several moons ago, we discovered that lots and lots of organizations are having issues with it, right? Lots of people come to us about this very kind of complaint. So as we began looking and doing our own research, we found that it's ubiquitous, it's everywhere, right? It's not just folks who are coming to us, it's folks out there in the wild who are having issues managing human resources and people management. So we're going to talk a little bit about how that could work for you. As we did our own research, we found that the Economist Intelligence Unit had shown that we have some issues with people management. In fact, globally, this is kind of the #1 problem that folks are facing. How are they going to properly manage people across their organizations? And people means people type of requests, right? Everything from managing paychecks to managing HR issues, like having human resource moments, and we all know what those are like, right? Or managing things like reprinting of forms, et cetera, or access to company documents. That's the kind of information that we were focused on when we started to discuss this. And one of the tools that we represented, Footprints, is an outstanding solution to help resolve some of this stuff, right? Some of these issues like benefits request management or name change management, 401k, onboarding and offboarding. And of course, the ability to get some of that relevant data back out of the solution afterwards is also kind of important because it's helpful to be able to see exactly where we've been what kind of stuff we've covered so far, whether we've done a good job of it, whether all of our employees are satisfied with the services that we're providing. And many times in human resource organizations, right, the concept of a tool can be foreign. Many organizations, certainly that I've worked in and for, when we talk to human resource organizations, they're like, no, we don't want any tools. We'll just take an email, thanks, or a phone call. We'll manage it that way. But when it comes down to it, we have to have a ticket in the real world, even if we just drop off our laundry, right? So they still give us a ticket. They still give us something to reference what we've asked about. So it only makes sense that from a human resources perspective, they should be given some kind of a way to track those requests too, something that's a little more in-depth than just an email, something that we can actually go back in and report against and see how well we're doing, and so that we can begin to identify trends, but also so that we can help assist our employees gain access to these services. So why footprints? Why use footprints for this purpose? Many people think about footprints and they think, oh, that's an IT tool. Well, not so much, right? Footprints is actually designed as a workflow engine so that you can manage literally any kind of workflow. It happens to do an outstanding job of managing workflow for people in information technology. And for those of you on the call who are human resource folks, you can just plug your ears and say puppies and kittens repeatedly as I say information technology. Puppies and kittens, it'll get better soon. But many people think about footprints in use in that scenario. And the fact is that because footprints is such a powerful workflow engine, you know, this isn't sticking a square peg in a round hole. The solution is designed for these kinds of tasks, right? We have a robust case management system, really, that we've constructed inside of Footprints. We have the ability to consolidate all of the information that you need in one place so that your employees can come at it without having to log into an application on their desktops. You don't have to maintain a separate app anywhere else. And the fact that you can make processes that are disparate, right? Processes that normally don't talk to each other in your organization start to communicate means that when you have those HR cases for new hires, right, people coming on board, you can parse the work out to all the right folks in the organization so that they can have all their accounts set up and their desks set up by facilities, any other ergonomics work done. All the steps that you need to take to bring people on your organization cleanly can be managed. The system is user-friendly. It's easy to implement and use. Footprints is a totally codeless product. So that means there is no code, there is no coder, there's nobody that has to have a beanie on top of their head. We know how the HR folks are, right? They don't want to wear beanies on their hats at all. It goes with, you know, it doesn't really work with their outfits most of the time. So what they really refer is something that's simple to use, something that we can get at very easily. And because Footprints is totally codeless, you can make it work the way you want without anybody having to know how to do anything except pointing and clicking a mouse, really, and fogging up a mirror does help. There are business analytics capabilities with dashboard so that reports that you generate out of the solution can be sent to the right people at the right time. And of course, we have drag and drop administrative capabilities so that you don't have to code. Like I said, you can simply drag and drop the information for the fields and other content you want right onto the form. Licensing is easy inside of Footprints. Some organizations may already be using it in their IT portion of their shop. Some may be using it for facilities. People use it across the planet for many different functions. We have some universities that have up to 300 different workspaces in Footprints, and we're going to talk a little bit about what that is. But these workspaces are the separate functions that you could deliver inside of your company, right? Everything from managing human resource case requests to managing facilities requests and everything in between. Which means all of the folks in your organization can be licensed so that they can access the solution when they need to. And of course, no programming, as we mentioned before, plus the ability to pull data from your external sources. So if you have people data in PeopleSoft, you could connect Footprints to it and allow it to do what you need to do in terms of pulling that information back out of PeopleSoft, for example, or other ERP solutions. So first challenge really is finding those some kind of a solution to manage all of your casework, right? And again, when organizations are putting tools together, what you want to avoid is buying a bunch of different point solutions, a bunch of different things that are made specifically for one purpose. It's brilliant that they are awesome and everything, but the catch is when you create a bunch of point solutions, you have very specific systems that are used for very specific purposes only. And it's very difficult to make those things talk to, engage with, interact with the other systems. So in the end, you have sort of this hodgepodge that's assembled where everybody operates in their own silo. What you want instead is a solution like Footprints that allows you to manage your stuff all inside of the same place. So I'm going to scroll over here. We're going to see how this works with me flashing back and forth between the presentation area and the actual discussion. So being able to manage any type of HR case, let's talk about the product, Footprints itself. You can see we have set up a Footprints human resources interface. Basically, we have built a workspace in Footprints. And as I said, I was going to mention a little more what that means. A workspace in Footprints is the collection of all the things that you, as HR caseworkers, would need. All of the stuff you need to be able to manage your requests. This doesn't look like IT. This doesn't look like your facilities folk stuff. These are all requests and question types, answers and services that are provided for human resources only. So it becomes a very specific way to make Footprints or do what you need it to do, right? Focus on the HR stuff that you need to be able to manage, all of the HR cases. Now, workspaces in Footprints are free, so you can have as many of them as you need aimed at the specific processes that you have inside of your company. So it stops becoming just a single point solution, and you can now begin to use it to manage other kinds of work as well as those human resource cases. What you can see for our human resource workspace is the fact that we've offered our human resources folks, all of the folks like the generalists or specialists in human resources, the ability to work directly inside of a service catalog that lists out all of the human resource services that we may offer inside of the company. So from benefit services, if you need information about specific benefits to check dental or health insurance benefits or life insurance benefits, you can definitely have provisions inside of Footprints to be able to allow folks to check and or research or sign up for these types of requests. Or maybe there are payroll issues, right? Managing payroll or 401k services, or even tax form services where they need a reprint of a particular tax form. That happens quite a bit, as it turns out. Direct deposit services. Maybe you offer direct deposit and there are specific forms or other documents that need to be filled out to make that happen. No matter what the service is that you offer in your organization, whether it's personnel services for onboarding persons or taking them out of the organization, bringing them, new names or name changes or updating your personal information, perhaps you've changed your address, or full human resource services for hiring and termination so that you can bring folks into the organization or take them out of the organization in one fell swoop. The service catalog is available both to your specialists and generalists in human resources, as well as to folks who may be logging in as employees. So you can give your employees a portal to access some of these services. Notice that I have forbidden most employees from choosing the new hire processes, right? The onboarding and offboarding services are not supplied to most employees because not everyone gets to start that process, right? Not everybody working in the company gets to say, hey, I want to hire someone, so I'm going to bring that process to bear. However, for all of my specialists, we have the ability to have access to different services. So the service catalog, the catalog of services that we can provide both to our employees and to our specialists, can be tailored and configured so that the right people have access to the right information. And what that means is, if it's our customer that is looking for something from a services perspective, maybe they have payroll services, tax forms, perhaps they need a reprint of their W-2s, they can have the information brought up saying, hey, this is a service to reprint my W-2s, any information that you would like to display about that W-2 service. So that means any fields or any kind of data you want to present back to your employees, telling them about that service can be provided here. I've just kept it simple for the sake of our discussion today. But if our employee decides they want to request this service, notice that it's already come up with the order form to make the request. All the employee really has to do is save that request and have it automatically show up as a part of the stuff they've asked for. So we'll let them save and close this request. Any information that was missing from that form, it would have prompted them for. It's that easy for your customers, your employees, to be able to make the requests of you that they need and get those requests into the right generalist or specialist hands. They can check, of course, the statuses of their human resource requests. We can see that Kim has created, as the employee, she has created a couple of these human resource reprint requests. So she can evaluate her requests anytime she wants to and see information about where they are in their life cycle. But we can also have your human resource specialists work inside of the system or your generalists so that they can see either all human resource cases or perhaps only those that are assigned to a generalist, or maybe just the things that are assigned to me, right, if I have specific assignments. Or you can view any other type of assignment information inside of Footprints very easily. So in addition to gaining access to things like a service catalog, you can also allow either your employees or your specialists to open up a brand new HR request. So a brand new HR request form, I'm going to get my dashboard rolled out of the way here so that it's not interfering. You can see we have a short description of what the human resource case might be. This could be, benefits check or something else. We're just going to do it simple so that you don't have to watch me type a lot of stuff. We will start our status as a request, but we move it to in progress right away because we're going to say, look, I'm going to start working on this immediately. We, of course, have the ability to prioritize these based on any criteria you want. And these words can be your words. They don't have to be the ones that you see in these drop-downs. We're just going to say that this is a pretty typical request. Now, since we are taking this information from an employee calling us, we can certainly fill this info out. I can look up our employee, and this can be pulled right out of either your Active Directory system, guys, or it can be pulled out of PeopleSoft or other human management systems that you might have. So when we look up Kim, we have her information that's displayed. We can see that we have a particular type of request. Maybe it's some kind of benefits change, right? So we have some information about benefits or complaint. Let's just choose benefits change. And then if there's a particular category like beneficiary change or coverage change, we can include that. Any information that we need to gather that is specific to the kind of request we're making can be caused to appear on the form. So notice that we now have beneficiary information, including beneficiary relationship, which would not display if I wasn't choosing beneficiary information, right? So I don't have to fill out any form detail that is not required for that type of request. And this means that either your specialists or generalists or even your employees, when they're filling this information out, won't have a bunch of detail on a form that makes them freak out when they look at it, right? Too much information, they're not going to fill it in, or they won't know what to do with it. In this way, no matter what the type of request is, a personal request, a new hire checklist perhaps, because maybe we're doing new hire work or something like that, or maybe even a job change checklist. If there's any particular work that needs to be done as a result of any of this stuff, employee onboarding, employee offboarding, we can ensure that we have additional information gathered. And we can see that it's automatically been assigned to our human resource specialists to be able to work on. So no matter what the information is that we need to gather, we can use Footprints to begin capturing that information, assigning it to the correct folks who will then provision that service and deliver it for our employees where they need. And of course, our employees have the ability to pull that information themselves as well and can make their own human resources requests, describing their case, describing the short description of the case, etc., just so that our human resource folks have an idea of what they're asking for. So keep in mind, employees can also ask you for this stuff from an email. So that means they don't have to be logged into anything. They can simply send an email into Human Resources, and Footprints will automatically cut a ticket for you and display that information here so that you can have a ticket created from email as well. So I want to move a little bit forward and talk about some of the stuff that we've covered. Really, remember, this is a zero-code operation, so no code is required to do any of the stuff that I set up inside of Footprints. All of that stuff for human resources was done through a drag-and-drop interface, pointing and clicking my way through. You can manage multiple types of cases. So no matter what types of case you're really looking to get managed in human resources, you can create the categories for the kinds of services you choose to offer, and you can do that, again, without any code. The information that we display back is going to be relevant to the case type. So that way, no fields have to be filled in that aren't specific for that type of human resources case, right? And that means that when we have the right information gathered, we can route that request to the correct specialist to make sure that the right folks are working on it. Nothing worse than having a ticket flounder for a while because the wrong person got it first. Many of you who have support issues with other companies know how that goes, right? You've called them, they haven't gotten back to you in days, and then they tell you, oh, we're sorry, it was the wrong person that got it. We're working on that now. You don't have to worry about that with Footprints because when we gather the right information, we know who provides that service, and therefore we can assign them automatically. And because we have the ability to manage approvals inside of Footprints, we can send our requests to the right folks for authorization so that anyone, whether they're employees or human resource specialists or other folks, management types in the organization, can provide the right authorizations to be sure that the steps are taken as they should be, right? Nobody should get certain kinds of requests processed unless someone has said yay or nay to that request. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the other functions inside of our product here, inside of Footprint. So we're going to move a little forward past this. And instead, we're going to start talking about how human resources can begin to manage knowledge, right? So in human resources, we want to be sure that knowledge management is focused on, because when people leave the organization, they take the knowledge that they knew with them. When your specialists leave, they take their knowledge with them, right? So anybody who leaves the organization and has information that should be known to others, we probably want to have a knowledge base so that we can have knowledge shareable amongst our human resource specialists, whether it's HR forms or policies or whatever it is that we need. So that in this way, people can gain quick access to the kinds of information necessary to process their request. Now, many of you guys keep this kind of documentation in a folder somewhere. Maybe it's on a network drive that somebody has to be granted access to, and there's always issues with who has share rights to that folder, et cetera. Maybe you have it stored in, some document place somewhere in an actual file cabinet, and you've got to make physical copies of the documents and then hand deliver them to someone. With Footprints, the information can be attached directly to the knowledge base. So you don't have to worry about where the actual form lives. And you also don't have to worry about someone using the wrong version of it, because since the information is a part of our knowledge article as an attachment, they can simply pull that attachment down and use it. So it's always the most pristine and correct version of the form that we're going to be using rather than the wrong one, if that makes sense, guys. And we can, of course, make this information available to our employees as well. So if we said, hey, employees, we want you to have access to our knowledge base too, we can choose which level of information our employees should be able to access. And of course, they have the ability to drill into our articles as well, just like our human resource specialists can. And sometimes this can avoid them having to call you, right? If you have knowledge about something, maybe they can take the knowledge from here, and they don't need to pick up that phone and call, or they don't need to send an email in, because they could get an answer to their question here, even for things like submitting, an accident report or something along those lines. Now, none of this stuff that we're gathering, whether our customers put the information in the system or whether our specialists or human resource specialists put the information in, none of the stuff that we gather is going to have any meaning to us unless we have the ability to start searching for it and reporting on it and seeing how well we're doing. Right? And this is one of the other big places where Footprints is a huge win. Because it is totally codeless, because everything about the administration of the tool is done through bright, shiny icons and drag and drop interface, I get to gather up front the information that I know I'm going to need to report on later. One of the #1 reasons why implementations in organizations fail is simply because when they look at the tool 3 years down the road, they say, oh, we can't report on anything from it. We just can't get any reports out of it. Oftentimes that's because the report requirements have changed, but the information that we gathered up front did not change. So we're still gathering the same kind of information that we used to. With Footprints, because it's codeless, you can start gathering the information that matters to you for your reports. And if your reporting criteria changes, if your business needs change, then you can begin to gather other information quickly and easily, because Footprints, as we talked about, is a totally codeless platform. It doesn't require any of that stuff to happen. So whether it's managing articles or the ability to find the information that we need, Footprints can definitely start driving home case management. And as you can see on the top of the screen here, I have created a little mini home screen that contains a dashboard, helps me understand what kind of tickets might be out there right now in terms of requests. These, of course, can be refreshed either every 15 minutes. They can do so automatically, or you can click the little refresh button to see that we now have a couple of W-2 reprints out there instead of just that one that existed. You can also see that any of the requests that we've made, whether it's new employee onboarding, et cetera, Any active HR cases are displayed here, which means I can quickly drill in to any of these requests and see exactly what's going on with that ticket, where we are, please change the beneficiary information. All the information that I need to see to be able to manage this case will be present for me. And these searches are just one way in which I can get information into or out of footprints. I can also just do basic searches for things right up top. So I can look across the organization in HR solutions, HR services, HR tickets, any work targets. I can search for anything that I want. So if I wanted to do searches for human resource cases and look only for particular words in human resource cases, we'd have the ability to find just those terminologies if that's what we want to do as well, if we wanted to use this as part of our search criteria. But in addition to that, Footprints allows us to create searches that are much more advanced. We can search for information that is deeply embedded inside of tickets by creating advanced searches. And in this way, by using an advanced search, we can decide to search in our human resource area or any other area of our solution, so any other area of our system, our service desk information, everything, which is how Footprints can become a very potent tool across your organization for human resources and other functions. We can also decide what kind of information we want to search for. So as I pull into my human resources area here, let's look at human resource cases. We can then search for additional criteria. And as you can see, as a human resource person, I don't necessarily know SQL. I don't know anything about it. I don't need to know even how to spell SQL to make Footprints look up the information that we need. So you don't have to get a DBA or have a beanie on your hat to be able to make Footprints pull this data for you, because you can just say, look, I'm looking for things that have a status of a particular value, right? Show me all the requests that we might have inside of our human resources workspace. And then let me decide which fields I want to display so that I can see that information. Looking this information up, of course, is very important. We're going to include the title. Finally, I can decide if I want to make this available to report against or make it available to view on my phone, because yes, I can gain access to my human resources information directly from my handheld device if I choose. Footprints leverages HTML5, which is a big technical term for saying it'll show up fine on your iPhone or Android device. Finally, of course, we can preview our results to see which tickets are currently in request status and see that information right here inside of Footprints. And lastly, if I really need to, I have the ability to do full-on reporting, right? And who doesn't need to do full-on reporting out of any of the systems that they use? Footprints allows us to capture many kinds of reports, literally any kind you can think of, right? Whether they're basic activity reports showing me how long our tickets may be taking to turn around, how long are our specialists taking to deliver these services, these requests, or tickets that may have aged too long. Right? These have gotten too old. We now need to step away, take another look and say, why are these tickets aging this long? And to do that, we need an aging report. Or maybe we just want to be able to say, how quickly are we actually responding to all of our tickets, right? What's our response rate? All of these reports are built in out of the box, even the ability to watch for certain kinds of requests. If we created a watch list, we can watch for certain kind of HR tickets to come through. Any report of any of these types, custom reports, creation of dashboards, all of it is done through a point-and-click interface. So that if I've created a particular report, like show me average age of my HR requests, or any custom reports, like maybe I've built a custom report to show some specific human resource information, or any other information like HR cases by category, you see that I can pull up that custom report and view it inside of Footprints. Now, seeing that report allows me to make changes to it. I can change the title of the report. I can change the kind of search that I'm using, so I don't have to search for only the active HR cases. I could search for any other kind of HR cases that I would like, or only personnel request changes, or any other type. I can, of course, decide what information gets displayed on my report. And lastly, I get to see all the information about the detail in that report, including the ability to export this nice and neat into a PDF, so that I can then take that PDF file, run it over to my meeting and show the information that I have, or I can save our PDF, print the PDF, and use this to make decisions about how well I'm doing in human resources. So really, in a nutshell, Footprints as a human resources management solution allows us to capture requests about anything. It allows us to create workflow for any kind of request that we can manage, human resources or any other type of request. It allows us to manage a service catalog so that if we have processes like onboarding or offboarding, we can drill directly in and say, yes, I would like to provision all the services necessary to bring on a new employee. And you can see it says the service provides a necessary service request to ensure that any new hire is fully equipped and ready to work the first day. That's nice, because oftentimes they're running around the first day saying, where do I sit? Do I have a desktop? Why isn't anyone set up my cube with a chair? All of these kinds of things are things that you can eliminate completely, because as a human resource specialist, you can simply say, yes, I would like the service for new hires. I would like to bring people on. It automatically created our new hire ticket for us. It will automatically cut and create tickets for providing a new computer, a mobile phone, a badge, or any other kind of ticket that you might need created to manage your onboarding processes. So even for complex processes where human resources has to reach across other portions of the organization, Footprints can be leveraged to quickly make that happen. And if I go ahead and save this ticket, I'll just classify the ticket as a provisioning request. And we can, of course, capture any additional info that we'd like. If there's a specific employee that we're going to capture this for, I'll just go ahead and link it to myself. I think I'm in here. I'm not in here. I'll link it to Kim. She is. I wasn't actually in my human resources system. We can decide, of course, who these get assigned to. I'll just go ahead and save this request. Our service request has come up, and our folks over in the service request area can begin to provision that request and see all the information necessary. But it also means that our new employee onboarding service, our request that initially started this, has been linked to the ticket, and we also have all the other tickets already created, and we can see the status of all of those. So we can see whether or not their desktop has been provisioned yet. We can see whether or not they have an email account set up, or whether their facilities work has been done, or their ergonomics work has been done, whatever other work we do to bring employees into or out of the organization. So in this way, Footprints can save you a tremendous amount of time, because you can now set this up inside of the tool and have it automate these processes instead of having folks having to call or email you. So in a nutshell, Footprints as a human resources platform is really one in which your organization can grow. Rather than outgrowing the solution, with Footprints you can continue to grow into it, because it will provide functions that work for human resources and other portions of your organization. It's not just a single point solution. It can work everywhere. It can manage all of your human resources requests. Any types of requests that you have can be managed in Footprints, whether it's managing forms, managing documents, managing certain types of services. And because Footprints has security built in that controls access on a field-by-field basis, we can make sure that the wrong folks aren't seeing the wrong information. That means you can safely include information about salaries and other details inside of your HR requests, and know that only your HR specialists will be allowed to see any of that data, because other folks would simply not have access to it. So that means that you have the kind of security you need so that those super secret HR requests can remain so, or the super secret details that you may be capturing can be viewable only by the people who have the right permissions for their own eyes. Human resources and Footprints lets us manage our knowledge so that we don't have to let that escape out the door. And we can, of course, have knowledge or services that are available to our internal customers, our external customers, any of our employees, as well as, of course, our human resource specialists who also may need to ask for these services. And all of this capability can be licensed inside the organization so that the right HR specialists gain access to the right stuff that they need at the right time inside of the solution. I know that we didn't have a long time today. It was a 45-minute schedule, but I wanted to say, now that we've wrapped up our discussion, I wanted to say thank you to everybody who has taken time to attend this. And of course, if you guys need to see a more detailed discussion around human resources or how we might be able to help use footprints to achieve these kinds of results for you, don't hesitate to reach out to us. As Rich alluded to, we have folks that are standing by on our website. You can certainly place a call to us, an email, click through the website to get to the information, and we'll get one of our specialists back in touch with you straight away so that we can begin to help you realize your HR capabilities inside of your organization by leveraging footprints. I'm going to turn this over to you, Rich. Thanks very much, everybody, and have a great rest of your week and weekend.
And before we wrap up, I just want to answer a question publicly. Hugh,
Sure.
One of our audience members, he had asked what version of Footprints this was. This is version 12.
Version 12, correct.
That's correct. And then he also asked, what is the upgrade path from Footprints V11 to V12? Now, isn't that still something that's being tested? And then another question he asked, is it a separate new install on new servers and implementation or just a software install?
It is a separate installation. In terms of the migration path, that's something that we would definitely want to talk with him about. So have him contact us because we've had many customers on the phone making those discussions. I think that'd be the appropriate place to have that kind of discussion. But yes, there are ways to be able to take some of your existing information from your existing Footprints installation, if you have it, and be able to move yourself to version 12 of Footprints. And for those of you who didn't know, and I apologize for not announcing this at the beginning, this is Footprints version 12. If you're on a version 11 or earlier of Footprints, it looks nothing like this. There are many, many new capabilities and features inside of V12 that make it not only look better, but make it perform much more robustly in your organization. So we really think we have a winner here. BMC certainly does with the product, and we'd be more than happy to have a conversation with you about how to best move your particular scenario from your existing version of Footprints into version 12.
Very good. Thank you so much for answering this question, Greg. And another awesome presentation. I mean, these are new parts of new things that Footprints, well, not new, but things I wasn't aware of that Footprints could do. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that didn't understand exactly the capabilities. So this is good stuff. As Greg has said numerous times, please reach out to us if you have any questions. Do you have anything else to add, Greg?
Nope, I think we are good to go. Just to say thank you again for folks taking time out of your afternoon. Some of you have spent your lunch hour listening to me talk to you, so I really, really appreciate that, guys. Thank you. We look forward to seeing you on another Flycast webinar.
And on behalf of Flycast partners, I also want to thank you and hope that you enjoy the rest of your week. Once again, reach out to us on email, call us, chat with us online. We'll be happy to help you out with any further questions on this. We are here for you. Enjoy the rest of your week.